So, guys, good morning. My name is Shoaib Kutsi, and I am the pre-sales consultant at Redington Gulf. And welcome to our session, Microsoft Windows Virtual Desktop. And as we know, due to current situation, this have been a very booming solution in the market because of the COVID situation, remote working stuff, and other things. So let's deep dive. So WVD is a new solution from Microsoft. It's not a new solution. I mean, it was launched in last September 2019. It was generally available, and there have been lots and lots of updates and information that has been put on regarding this solution. So let's get started. So let's talk about desktop virtualization. Why customer needs desktop virtualization? So mobility. We know that user can access any device anywhere, and this cannot be realistic or true after more realistic or more true after this COVID situation. Whereas the complete globe is working remotely, and it's important for us as an admin or as an organization to make sure that our employees can work remotely on any device anywhere. At the same time, it's highly secure because we need to make sure that our data should not leave our environment. I'm not sure where our user is accessing from, which network, which device, is it secure, is it compliant. So we need to make sure that our data is absolutely safe and we follow all the security policies perspective when our users are accessing the data. Scalability, another important factor that comes into picture. That I might have a situation wherein 50% of my workforce is using the solution, my environment remotely, or sometimes maybe 90% of the users may be using my environment. So we should be flexible in terms of scalability. Whenever my workforce go up, I will be able to scale up or scale down. And then compatibility in terms of any device anywhere, and at the same time support for the older application that runs on your virtualized environment. Performance plays a very important character. I mean, a very important role when it comes to, because as the users are using the desktop remotely, we need to make sure that they get maximum performance to make sure they are highly productive. Management, we as an admin, we need a single image and we need a centralized management for our complete environment. So imagine I have a user who is using a specific application, maybe AutoCAD or maybe a basic office application. We need to make sure that if hundreds of users are accessing the application, it will be very difficult as an admin to manage the 100 machine when it comes to patches, security, backup, update. So we need to make sure that the management is easy, a single image management for many user, and cost. When it comes to Azure or when it comes to cloud, and especially after this pandemic situation, whereas in companies won't be very keen to do upfront investment, so pay as you go model where we are very elastic. We pay for the services that we use, and if we don't need any services anytime, we can just shut it down, and the users won't be paying for that. So let's deep dive how Windows Virtual Desktop can help us in delivering all these solutions, and how it will be beneficial for us, and what characteristics it play, and how we can integrate with our on-premises environment. So this is just a few statistics that we have, that what is an important. So when the customer is going for VDI, 22 close to 23% of the customers, they go for VDI because of centralized management. And then we have around 4% customers who are very keen for cost reduction. Remote application access, we have around 17%. So this is the statistic why customers normally go for a VDI environment with the flexibility. What are the flexibility they are currently looking out for? So centralized management provide DaaS, which is desktop as a service, for remote application to access anywhere, and with increased security and with increased performance as well. So what all critical areas is been addressed for a specific business? So imagine security and regulations with the help of VDI is been addressed for finance sector, for healthcare, for government. Elastic workforce. Imagine you are in the urge of migration, merge or acquisition of any company. If you have any short-term employees or contract employees or any specific project employees that are joining, you can just ask him to come, give a VDI, use it for the time they're in the office, and then they leave. And you can give it for your contractor and your partners as well. Then for specific employees, if the employee is using the BYOD, bring your own device, or accessing the application from any device anywhere, the call center employees and the branch worker. And for specialized workforce, design and engineering, for legacy application, and for dev and test software. So these are the industry specific solution with the help of, which virtualization resolves. We know this, correct? Work is no longer a place, and especially now, this is very true. So we in the modern world, we know that nowadays we employees, they need to work from any device, anywhere, at any part of the world, and now especially most of the area where internet is not a problem, where we have 3G, the world is now on 4G, and now we are expecting 5G as well. So internet is not a problem, whereas a user can access the YouTube, user can access the Facebook or the Instagram at the same latency. User can access their VDI environment, which will be hosted on cloud. Desktop as a service market is growing, as we are aware about it. These are few of the statistics of DaaS environment. So we are getting a 32.1% compound growth with close to $3 billion, which will be a DaaS revenue by 2021, which is expected, and 50% of the new VDI user will be deployed on DaaS on 2019. So this is a 2019 survey. We are on 2020, and I'm sure this number will grow drastically high in the coming years. So let's compare. So Microsoft has its own Windows Virtual Desktop. So let's compare. So Microsoft, before VDA, before Windows Virtual Desktop, Microsoft has RDS, Remote Desktop Service. So how RDS is different from VDA, from Windows Virtual Desktop? So in traditional RDS, the hosting, the server storage, the network, the maintenance, the licensing, image management, brokering, and entitlement, all is being hosted by customer. They get it, they use it, they manage it. But with the new Windows Virtual Desktop environment, most of the service is being offered as PaaS. And this is a beauty of Windows Virtual Desktop. If you see here, no doubt, when it goes to Azure, is hosting its server, the network, the maintenance is being managed by Microsoft, which is clear, which is like Microsoft has its data center, the storage will be kept in, it manages. But if you imagine, the licensing and the brokering is also being managed by Microsoft. So imagine you have a Windows Virtual Desktop hosted on cloud, and if you guys are aware, Windows Virtual Desktop needs a web application gateway, it needs a load balancer, needs a broker. All these services is being managed by Microsoft as a PaaS environment, as a platform, as a service environment. We as a partner or we as a customer need to only manage the entitlement and the image management. So the access to the services and the image management of a golden image. In our next coming on slides, we will get to know more that how what are the architecture currently look like. So we will deep dive into that. So now the challenges which we solve with the help of Windows Virtual Desktop is customer client experience trade-off. Customer always wanted a multi-session environment for Windows 10. So as we know that the server operating system will always a multi-session environment. So imagine if we put a Windows 2016 on Windows 2008, 2012 R2, that was a multi-session environment. But client was always a single session environment when it comes to Microsoft. You can use third-party tool to make sure client is a multi-session environment. But for Windows 10 or Windows 7 or Windows 8, it was only a single session environment, or two users can log in at the same time. In Windows Virtual Desktop, this is the first time Microsoft has launched a product which is called as Windows 10 Enterprise for multi-session, which means customer can use Windows 10 for multi-session and for single session as well. So with the help of which you can virtualize your Windows 10 for multi-session. So imagine we have 100 user. They want to use their Windows OS, and they might have some application, maybe Office or PDFs or basic CRM and other application. You will have one golden image. You will have one centralized image which you will patch, which you will manage, which you will take backup of, and then the client, all the 100 clients will access the same golden image, and they will get different session of the same image, and the user's data will be saved in user profile. So client will get their specific profile, so which means they get their specific data, and at the same time they get a Windows 10 experience with all the application installed. This is from the end user's perspective, and from an admin perspective, you only need to manage the users and you only need to manage the centralized image. The rest of the thing is been taken care by Microsoft. And the benefit about Windows 10 is you can use your the Windows Virtual Desktop. You can use Windows 7 as well as an extended security update. So as all of us are aware that Windows 7 is no longer supported, but if you go to cloud, you will get a 3-year extended security update if you take Windows Virtual Desktop as a solution. So this is first thing. Second thing, Windows Virtual Desktop, you get a fully fledged version of Office 365 Pro Plus. So when you provision a Windows Virtual Desktop on Azure, there is an image, a default image, Windows 10 with Office 365. So all the users will get their Office 365 Pro Plus that will be engaged there. The third solution is you can scale anytime. You can migrate your existing RDS. If you're using an RDS environment on premises, you can straight away go ahead and migrate it to Azure, and deployment is very simple. And the deployment is relatively very simple when it comes to Windows Virtual Desktop on cloud. So let's proceed further. So what is Windows Virtual Desktop? So Windows Virtual Desktop is the best virtual desktop experience that is delivered on Azure. Remember, you cannot have Windows Virtual Desktop on any other cloud or maybe on your on-premises environment. It has to be on Azure. So it will deliver the only multi-session Windows 10 experience by Microsoft. It enables optimized for Office 365 Pro Plus. You can migrate your RDS, and it's easy to deploy and scale as well. So virtualization hosts today, which are available in the market: Windows Server, multi-session, Windows Server, Win32 you can use. You can use Office 365 Pro Plus, and you can use long-term service channel. With the help of Windows 10 Enterprise, you can use it single session, multi-session, and it will be available in 32 and a 64-bit version as well. So this is the combination of Windows 10 Windows Server and Windows 10 single session and multiple session that is available on cloud. Which all operating systems are supported for Windows Virtual Desktop. So we have Windows 10 Enterprise, which is available for multi-session. We have Windows 10 Enterprise, which is also available for single session. Then Windows 7, remember, is only available for single session. You cannot use Windows 7 for multiple session because only Windows 10 has been launched as multiple session. Then you can have Server 2019, 2016, and 2012 R2 as well. What are the deployment models? So when you go to Windows Virtual Desktop, which we'll check in the deployment in a while. So if you go for pooled, which is a non-persistent desktop, you will only pay 15%, and you'll save 80% of the total amount. So which means that this is for multiple session. So this means that a user will be accessing a multiple session for Windows 10 or Windows 2012 R2, and they will be saving a cost of around 80% by giving a dedicated session or maybe a dedicated machine to them. So why business use Windows Virtual Desktop? So it's a modern desktop that is available, which is virtual. You can use it as a desktop as a service. You can use it as a DaaS, which is desktop as a service, where you will get your office, you get your security, you get your patching, you get your update, and user can access it from any device anywhere seamlessly. And ISVs can host it for hosting their application as well. So point to be considered here is that Windows Virtual Desktop is not specifically for desktop virtualization. You can host your application as well, same as we host application in our RDS environment or in your Citrix environment. Whereas in customer has an application and they access the application or they access the desktop as well. What are the different solutions, different way to access the Windows Virtual Desktop? So one is they will go to the rdweb.windowsvirtualdesktop.microsoft.com/web access, and they will get all the desktop and the application published, or else they can get all the application available as a start menu shortcut. What do I mean by that is, imagine I'm using my machine, my local machine. I will add Windows Virtual Desktop as a local machine shortcut. I will add Windows Virtual Desktop as a local machine shortcut in my start menu. Once customer click on that short menu, once the user click on the short menu, they will go ahead and access the Windows Virtual Desktop, which is on cloud. User will not be even aware about it, where I'm accessing it, and they will get a full-fledged desktop or an application that has been published on cloud. Or for mobile device and Android device, there is a tool. There is a short application called as Windows Virtual Desktop for Apple, for iOS, or for Android, with the help of which they can access it on their mobile devices as well. This is very important to understand that what is a licensing model. If the customer goes for Windows Virtual Desktop, what is a licensing model that they gonna use? So if the customer is having one of the plan that you see in your environment on your screen, you are already eligible for it. So which means, let me quickly check 1 second. Okay, which means that if the customer is using M365 E3 or A3, M365 E5, A5, M365 F1, M365 Business, or Windows 10 Enterprise, Windows for Education, or Windows 10 VDA per user CAS, they are already eligible for using Windows Virtual Desktop. No need of buying any additional licenses for Windows Virtual Desktop for a client OS. But remember, this is only for client OS. For server OS, if the customer wants to use 2012 R2 or a newer desktop version, they can have an RDS Cal license with SA. If the customer have RDS Cal with SA, they can use the server operating system as a part of Windows Virtual Desktop solution. Pricing. So if you have one of the licenses in the previous slide that we have already discussed about, you will only pay for the virtual machine, which is a compute, like the number of core and the number of RAM, and the users and the virtual machine in Azure, it will be Linux rate. So there is no cost for the OS that you will be paying, and you will have a flexibility to choose any VM, any storage, whatever you want. And at the same time, all of us are aware that if you go for reserve instance for Windows Virtual Desktop, which is available, if you go for a reserve instance in Windows Virtual Desktop, Microsoft gives you up to 72% discount based on the region that you choose, based on the OS that you choose, based on the compute that you choose, and you can take additional benefit of up to 72% when you go to the reserve instance. When we will come to know, we'll come to know what is going to be your pricing once we have a requirement. We'll share you the details about it. So cost optimized infrastructure. So imagine this is your on-premises environment, Windows Server on-premises, where you buy the host, where you buy the license server, where you buy the file server, and then you buy the RDS CAS with SA. So this is your Windows Server on-prem. If you go to Windows Virtual Desktop on Azure, all the rest of the VMs will go to Azure, and you will only buy the RDS CAS with SA. So, for example, the benefit is like the per VM for 1,000 compute hours, you will pay $570 on-prem, whereas then you will pay only $200 when you go to the cloud. So you'll save more than 65% saving when you go to Windows Virtual Desktop on Azure. Okay, and this is the cost advantage for Windows 7. So any of your clients are interested in using Windows 7, they need to pay for the security updates, whereas then if they go to cloud, they won't be paying anything. So this was a point that I was talking about, the architecture. So now the diagram that you see here is managed by Microsoft. So the Windows Virtual Desktop tenant, which is the web access, the diagnostic, the gateway, the load balancing, the broker, and the management, all of the thing is being managed by Microsoft. The as the image management, which is like your Windows 7, Windows 10, the remote app, and the file server, will be managed by customer, and the backend infrastructure again is being managed by Microsoft. So any which ways, the VDA, the management was very easy. The management was very clear and very simple. But now with Windows Virtual Desktop, it's become simpler. I mean, most of the things has been managed. Like, I mean, if anyone have worked on Citrix on RDS, we need to troubleshoot. We need to broker, load balancer, gateway, web access. We need to troubleshoot on those aspects. But now this is a platform as a service. This is Microsoft responsibility. We only need to do the image management, and we are done. This is the beauty of Windows Virtual Desktop that is available. So what are the prerequisites? Anyone who wants to start a Windows Virtual Desktop on cloud, they need an Azure subscription and they need an Azure AD. So if you have Office 365, you already have Azure AD. We need to create a subscription under that, which is going to be your Azure subscription. Then Windows Virtual Desktop need a domain controller or an Azure ADDS service for your authentication. Then we need a storage account, and then you need the credentials of Azure. So the subscription that you have, you need to be a tenant owner, or you need to be a Windows Virtual Desktop tenant creator role in order to make sure that you will be able to access the Windows Virtual Desktop environment. So if you have all of this, we can provision Windows Virtual Desktop within minutes, or maybe within hours, with a full-fledged desktop experience that is available for your clients. So identity, what all identity options are available? So you can use your on-premises domain controller. So if the customer have on-premises domain controller, we can create a site-to-site VPN with Azure for the on-premises domain controller. And once this has been done, but the challenge here is, we need a site-to-site VPN connection, or we need to provision additional domain controller on Azure. But we have a service called as Azure ADDS. What Azure ADDS does is, Azure ADDS will have a fixed monthly charge, and even that will be available for the authentication environment for Windows Virtual Desktop. And the third option is having a DC on premises and have a VPN connection. So let's quickly get into our demo, how to do a demo for a Windows Virtual Desktop environment. So just give me one quick minute, team. Let me quickly go ahead and access. So let me quickly stop sharing this page and let me quickly share my another session. Okay, so quickly start sharing again. So one second. Perfect. So I'm sure you are able to see the screen where you see the login page. So I went to rdweb.windowsvirtualdesktop.microsoft.com/web client. So this is my web client. Let me quickly put my username and password. Okay, so I have entered my username. I will enter my password. Once I do that, so this is my RDS, of course, hosted on Azure, my Windows Virtual Desktop hosted on Azure. So I will get my, so this is an area where I can get my desktop and my application hosted for me as a user. So I will click on my machine that has been hosted. I'll click on allow. Once I clicked on allow, okay, it's not connected because my machine that I'm pretty much sure that my machine that I have hosted is switched off. So just guys, just give me a minute. So let me quickly go back. Just give me one quick minute. Let me quickly start my VMs. Because this is the beauty of cloud. Now I have turned off my virtual machine, which I think because it was not in use, so I saved on cost. Whenever it is required, I'll go ahead and start it again. So let me quickly start my VM. So till the time it is started, let me quickly show you something else. So I will stop sharing now. I will share my complete environment for now. Okay, so now this is the UI management for Windows Virtual Desktop. I will go to browse. And till the time this is coming up, let me reconnect. It's still not on, so let's hold on. So this is a UI management for Windows Virtual Desktop. This is an area where I can manage my complete Windows Virtual Desktop environment. So let me quickly copy paste this URL. If once I copy this URL, I will go to my Chrome. I will log in. So I will choose my tenant, the tenant that I have created for my Windows Virtual Desktop, and this is a page where I will get. So I have how many host pools. So see, my machine is started. So how many host pools I created. So now if you see my host pool, the host sessions are available, and if I click on any of the host, if you see, there is no user session yet. So what I will do, I'll connect to my Windows Virtual Desktop. I expect my machine to be up by now. Here we go. See, it's done. So okay. So my password is been expired that I am using. So then this is a hairy task, but guys, this is what you're gonna do. We need to change the password and we need to get the session on. So let's see if we can do it. But this is an area you will get an application and you will be able to access your Windows Virtual Desktop environment. And this is a place, this UI will give you the admin management, how many session hosts are available, if the session is allowed or not. You can restart the session from here. You can add new session host here. What all application group is being published for you as the Windows Virtual Desktop user or the complete tenant, and it will give us the general information here. So you can click on any of the virtual machine. We can edit in terms of do you want to allow new, if you want to update any of the host, you can do no new sessions are allowed. It is also given an option of drain mode. If you set the virtual machine on drain mode, all the existing session will be available, but no new sessions will be allowed here, and all this management can be done from this centralized management portal on Windows Virtual Desktop. Thanks, Junaid, and thank you guys for your time again, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, guys.